Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Royal Ramble podcast. I am your host, Zach Stevens, and we are here to review the go-home show for SmackDown Live from June 13th, 2017, out of the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at @ramble_cast. Again, that is at @ramble_cast. And you can always subscribe to our YouTube page where you're going to find the highest quality episodes of the Royal Ramble podcast. We are also on Podbean. Check us out over there at royalrambleradio.podbean.com. You can always download the Podbean app and listen to us anywhere you are. Listen to us on the go. Download us on your phone, your iPad, whatever it is, and listen to us wherever you are. We are also on SoundCloud. Check us out over there at soundcloud.com/royal-ramble-radio. And if you have any questions or concerns or you'd like your questions read on the air, go ahead and give us an email at royalrambleradio@gmail.com. Now, of course, this is the go-home show, so we will have our Money in the Bank predictions at the end of this episode, so definitely stay tuned for those, man. I know a lot of people want to know what my predictions are going to be, so definitely stay tuned and listen for that. So yeah, man, we have some questions heading into this SmackDown Live. Like I said, it is the go-home show for Money in the Bank on Sunday. Money in the Bank is easily one of my favorite pay-per-views that they do every year. I know a lot of people are kind of sick of the whole briefcase gimmick. I've read some comments online saying that, it's somewhat tired and people want something new. For me personally, man, I love the briefcase gimmick. I love that whole tease that they always do with, are they going to cash it in now? Sometimes we'll get, the person with the briefcase coming down to the ramp, but they actually won't cash it in that night. And it has been almost 2 years, I feel like, since we've actually had an entire briefcase year. I know last year when Dean Ambrose won, he ended up cashing that very same night in order to win and get the title. So we really haven't had that whole tease. We really haven't had the briefcase have a presence on the show since last year. So, that is one of my favorite pay-per-views, and I really love the whole gimmick that they do with that thing. And now we're going to get 2 briefcases, one for the men and one for the women. So, what I was thinking originally is that depending on how they book this card and how the card is laid out on Sunday, we may get one of those cash-ins on the pay-per-view that night. However, I believe that we will at least have one briefcase to tease throughout the rest of the year going forward. Whether that be the men or the women, I don't know. But I feel like we will at least get one briefcase to where we can kind of have that tease each week. So obviously, man, we have some questions heading into SmackDown Live tonight. As we head into Money in the Bank, what kind of build are they going to give us here? Obviously, the matches that they've set up for this card, they are a little lackluster outside of the 2 ladder matches. But, this is the show for them to really hype up those matches and get us interested. Obviously, we have that 6-man tag team match between all 6 competitors in the men's match tonight. So that is going to be used to help build up the momentum heading into that one. But to be honest with you, I think that one is at peak interest. Everyone's going to be interested in that match because we got Shinsuke, we got AJ, we got KO, Sami Zayn, Dolph, Baron. That match is already at max hype. So that one really doesn't need too much of a build. The match that we did get out of those guys tonight was pretty good, and of course we'll talk about that in our main event segment. The next question I have, though, kind of same with the men. What are they going to do with the women that are in that Money in the Bank ladder match tonight on this go-home show? Are we going to get another 6-woman tag team match like they've been doing throughout the past couple of weeks? Or are we actually going to finally get some single matches for once out of the women? And then on the topic of the women, the next question I would have would be, since Lana is back, making her debut last week on SmackDown Live, what is her role going to be tonight? Is she going to get a warm-up match before they put her on a pay-per-view? Or are they just going to put her onto a pay-per-view to have her first singles match ever in front of a huge crowd? That's going to be really interesting. And then finally, Jinder and Orton. I do like Jinder as the title holder right now. I want Jinder to keep the title even going past Sunday. I want him to beat Orton, mainly because I feel like they need this badass heel. Jinder has continued to look like a monster heel, but Orton as a babyface just isn't really doing it for me. I feel like this match in particular just feels kind of like a roadblock for what's to come next for Jinder. And, obviously Randy is he's wrestling in his hometown this Sunday, so we all know what happens when you wrestle in your hometown. You lose. And then finally, I would say, last little question here, which I don't think we're going to get an answer to, is will Rusev, American Alpha, or Ty Dillinger make an appearance? They have been MIA for a while now. I know Rusev has been cleared officially. American Alpha hasn't been injured or anything like that. They've just been sitting on the bench waiting for their time. And then Ty Dillinger, man, he has just gone completely missing. We haven't seen him at all. So a little worried about those guys, man, but I'm really hoping that, we can see those guys on the episode of SmackDown Live after the pay-per-view. I think that is when we're going to see most of them, and we'll get some new matches, and we'll get some new builds going forward after that. So yeah, man, we start off this show from Louisiana, and they start off by telling us what matches we have on the card for tonight right off the bat. They tell us that we're going to have that 6-man tag team match between all of the men's Money in the Bank competitors. We're going to have a face-to-face tonight between Randy and Jinder. Not really sure what a face-to-face is. I guess they're trying to imitate what happened between Joe and Brock last night on Raw, which, by the way, you're not going to be able to imitate that because that is the hottest feud in WWE right now. And then they tell us we're going to get an 8-man tag between New Day, Breezango, and the Usos and the Clones. So a lot of 6-man or 8-man tag team matches tonight. We didn't get any for the women, so one of my questions that we had starting off this show is answered right off the bat. We are going to finally get some women single action, so that is good. So we start off this show, and New Day kicks it off. They come to the ring, and they have a group of guys playing trumpet, saxophone, and drums, almost like a drum line, playing to their theme music as they walk down the ramp. This was actually really awesome. I believe Kofi said that they were called the Soul Rebels out of Louisiana. So props to the Soul Rebels, man. That was really cool. And really cool to see New Day get, some nice needed hype as they finally, enter in SmackDown and they head into this pay-per-view, getting their first pay-per-view match since making the brand switch. Kofi goes on to say that they need to come out to a grand entrance because this is the home of the next WrestleMania, which it is. Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana to be exact, will be the next WrestleMania. Xavier then says after they beat the Usos this Sunday, they will take those championships, bring them back to New Orleans, and walk into WrestleMania as the SmackDown Live WWE World Tag Team Champions. But before he can finish, though, the Usos come out. The Usos say that you cannot be serious, you're playing with the wrong ones, this ain't no game, really playing up that, thuggish, heel sort of mentality that they've been doing lately. They get into the ring and they say, we the one grinding, we the one working, we the one, and then some word. Then, as they're doing this whole spiel, the Fashion Police interrupt. Fandango says there's been a major break in the Usos' case, saying their day one is not so H. Then they slowly walk to the ring, and then when they finally get into the ring, by the way, this took a long time. I'm going to talk about this in a second, but it was a very long pause of silence here. They slowly walk into the ring, and Bree says, if anything, your day one is G. And then we get another long, kind of awkward pause, and he says, G for gross. And then everyone starts laughing. Tyler goes on to say they don't have the authority to lock anyone up in the Usos penitentiary. They would know. They're the police. Then the Colognes music hits. And surprisingly, they have mics in their hands. So we're actually going to get a Colognes promo tonight. They call Breezango the worst detectives ever. And they call their sense of fashion horrible. The Colognes get what chance really bad here. I was kind of expecting Breezango and them to get what chance, but no, the Colognes got it bad here. New Day then interrupts the Colognes with their typical New Day Rocks chant, and then we head to commercial as we set up for that 8-man tag action that they spoke of earlier. So thoughts on the opening, man. Things did get a little awkward here. Like I said, there was this really long pause after Breezango or the Fashion Police or Fashion Files, whatever their name is now, as they came to the ring. There was this really long pause. And I'm not sure if someone forgot their lines or if they forgot to do something that they were supposed to do, but it definitely seemed unintentional, this very long pause of silence. At one point, you can even hear Xavier saying, hurry up, to them as they enter the ring. I usually watch the show with headphones on, so I get to hear basically everything, and you can hear Xavier telling them to hurry up, because they were taking their sweet time, and it was kind of awkward there for a second. So I feel like something definitely went wrong in this opening segment, but it wasn't too noticeable, and it got the point across. We're going to have that 8-man tag match. That's what's happening. Don't get me wrong, though. Obviously, I love the Fashion Files, Breezango, Fashion Police, whatever their name is now. But it was just a little bit of a weird opener, and I think Breezango might have messed up here. I'm obviously not really excited to see an 8-man tag, but obviously these guys can put on a good show. And this match, man, it was super long. This was a very, very long opening match between all 8 of these guys. So let's get into that now. So Fandango starts, but he tags in Kofi immediately as the match starts. Then Jimmy Uso tags in one of the clones, and they instead of starting. So originally we have Fandango and Jimmy in the ring, and then they just immediately tag into Kofi and one of the clones. I think it was Epico. They just tag them in immediately, so they end up starting. Epico and Kofi start running the ropes. We get this cool sequence where Kofi jumps over Epico like 3 or 4 times. Then Kofi tags in Xavier, who delivers a bunch of elbows to Epico. These look vicious. Fandango then gets tagged in and drops down onto Epico from the top post. Fandango then hits a beautiful head scissor kick to him. Fandango then does that stupid-ass, like, losing your balance thing as Epico is trying to roll him up for a pin. Really hate this spot. It ends by Fandango kind of dancing on the top of Epico, but I really hate that whole losing your balance spot. It just looks so goofy. I wish they would stop doing it. Anyway, Breeze gets a tag, then Epico tags in Jey Uso. He delivers a slam to Breeze and then tags in Jimmy. We get a small Uso chant here, so that's a little bit surprising considering they've been, big-time heels lately. Tyler Breeze basically getting destroyed by everyone, man. He's just taking the beat down, really, playing up for that hot tag. Breeze eventually delivers a huge kick to Primo, and then Xavier is tagged in. Then we get this awesome spot right here, and this is a callback to Xavier and Tyler Breeze's NXT days. So Xavier and Tyler Breeze, they're setting up for a double team on Primo. So, Tyler tags in Xavier, but Tyler stays in the ring. Xavier starts yelling at him, telling Tyler to do the thing, do the thing. Tyler then bounces off the ropes, and then he almost looks like he's going for a head scissor kick onto Xavier, but Xavier instead stops it about halfway through and throws Tyler on top of Primo. And then Tyler exits the ring, as always, and then Xavier goes on to say, we used to be a tag team in NXT. So, obviously, this was a callback to one of their moves that they used to do when they were a tag team in NXT. Very cool. I'm not sure if a lot of people caught on to that, but it was an awesome spot for them to do here. And I think it was really creative stuff out of both Xavier and Tyler Breeze here, and that should be acknowledged. I feel like a lot of the times the matches we get on TV are very cookie cutter, they're very copy and paste, WWE style. We don't get a whole lot of creative stuff on TV matches, and this was something that they obviously planned and decided to put in this match. So props to those guys for getting creative with this match here. Xavier goes on to get a near fall onto Primo after that huge spot with him and Tyler. Then he delivers a drop kick to Primo's back. We get a series of chops by both guys in the corner. Primo eventually starts taking advantage of Xavier. Then Xavier hits the honor roll, and the match starts to break down. All of the guys enter the ring, everyone delivering drop kicks and clotheslines to each other. Before we go to commercial, we have the New Day and Breezango in the ring as all of the heel tag team guys are on the outside. Xavier grabs the trumpet, he starts playing, then we head to commercial break. We come back from commercial, and now Primo is in control of Breeze. This is when I wrote down, man, this is a really long match here. Obvious time killer. Colognes have some nice tag team offense on Tyler Breeze again. They're really beating down Tyler. Same with the Usos, man. They come in, they get a tag, and they start double teaming Breeze for a near fall as well. Jay has a vicious looking Rikishi-like move that he hits Breeze with. Basically, Breeze is sitting down in the corner, knocked out, and then Jay comes running up, turns around, and hits him with his ass in his face. Not exactly like Rikishi. It wasn't, rubbing your giant ass in someone's nose, but it was super fast, and it looked like it hurt. So go back and check that out, man. I kind of like that move that the Usos are implementing here. Obviously, Rikishi being their father. Epico gets in and delivers some nice offense on Breeze, including a nice stalling suplex here, really showing off his strength. Tyler eventually reverses things and clotheslines and kicks both of the clones. Breeze finally gets that hot tag to Xavier. And one thing I want to note here is it's really cool that Xavier is getting a lot of in-ring action. I know when Kofi was injured, obviously they took that long break before switching over to SmackDown, but man, Xavier is so good in the ring, and I really think that the WWE creative and just everyone in the everyone in WWE is starting to realize that Xavier is really, really good, man. And he's been able to show off some of his offensive moves lately in these past couple of matches that they've had on SmackDown. So very cool. We get this holy shit type of moment where Jay throws Xavier into the ropes. Kofi sneakily makes the tag here when he hits the ropes, but whenever Xavier is on his way back after bouncing off the rope, Xavier then flips over the top rope onto the Colognes who are on the outside. Really crazy spot here. Then Kofi then jumps from the top post, hits an elbow to Jay. Kofi goes for a Trouble in Paradise and hits it, but only gets a near fall. Primo's then tagged in. Xavier tags in Kofi. Kofi tags in Xavier. Kofi then grabs a hold of Primo. Xavier heads to the top rope, and he hits him with a new finishing move, which they are calling Up, Up, Down, Down. Xavier hits it. 1, 2, 3. New Day and Breezango win. My thoughts here on this match, obviously, like I said, it was very long. Felt like a time killer to kind of get the show started. But there were lots of cool spots in this match, even though if it wasn't the greatest. I really, really like this new move that the New Day got to use here. Obviously, it's referring to Xavier's YouTube channel. So very cool for them to implement this new move and get the win with it. And I think it's really cool what the New Day can do with different finishers, right? They have the Midnight Hour, and they have a couple other ones that they do. But it's cool, to see different finishers depending on which guys from the New Day are in the match. So whether it's maybe Kofi or Xavier, or Kofi and Big E, you might have different finishers depending on what guy is in the ring at the time. So obviously in this match it was Kofi and Xavier, so they went for the new finisher, Up, Up, Down, Down. And this was very cool, man. Basically, Kofi just puts Primo onto his knee with, Primo laying on his back on Kofi's knee. And then Xavier heads to the top rope. And he basically does like a missile drop kick from the top rope onto Primo's face. And then Primo flips completely over. And then he's just out cold. Really cool. Hope to see that move some more. We'll probably end up seeing it in the pay-per-view this Sunday. Overall, though, man, this match was pretty long. But I think it had some decent spots, even if it dragged a little bit for me. Obviously, really, really liked that Tyler and Xavier spot. That callback to NXT was really cool. And I think this match just kind of shows how great Xavier is. I really love that he's getting more time in the ring because he really deserves that. And, they used to kind of just put Xavier off to the side, kind of being that, kind of like I wouldn't say the manager, but he was really the one doing a lot of the promo work and kind of playing trumpet and not really doing a lot in the ring on Raw. But now that he's on SmackDown, man, it seems like they put a lot more emphasis on him wrestling, which is really cool, man. Obviously, his YouTube popularity probably plays into that. His YouTube channel, Up, Up, Down, Down, which is what that whole move is based off of. So they're obviously seeing his popularity there, and it's working to his advantage in the WWE. So decent start to SmackDown. Even though this match was a little bit long, I was into the match for the whole time, regardless. We then get a teaser for John Cena's return on July 4th. They're basically showing clips of him on ESPN, Good Morning America, filming movies and all that shit. Basically showing where he's been since he hasn't been on TV. Then they show a graphic on the screen telling us when he's coming back, which we already knew. That was July 4th. But this was very weird because at the top it said free agent John Cena is returning to SmackDown Live on July 4th. So I'm not sure if they had free agent on the graphic when they told us he was coming back to TV on July 4th previously. But very weird that they say free agent there. There's obviously been some rumors about him maybe going to Raw, so I'm not really sure what I think about that. I think Cena is really great on SmackDown, and they could probably use him down the road. Even though right now SmackDown is kind of doing just fine without him. Obviously, I'd say SmackDown is in a far better position than Raw is right now. But as I started to think about this, selfishly, I would like Cena on SmackDown because I think he elevates the brand even more than it already is, even though I think SmackDown is the A show. But I started to think about this, man, and Raw actually might need John Cena more than SmackDown. Obviously, Raw has an entire 3 hours to fill, and their ratings on Raw are not doing very good. And Cena is a ratings driver, man. When he's on TV, the ratings do go up. That is a for sure thing. And now that he's becoming really more of a part-timer, though, I'm not sure if that would be a fix, I guess you could say, for Raw. I do think that he would help Raw a lot because right now their roster is kind of feeling a little thin. We're getting a lot of, rematches and stuff that we've already seen before. So maybe John Cena could help fix that, but I don't know, man. I would really like to see Cena stay on SmackDown, but I think he has some benefit to going to Raw. So we'll see when he comes back on July 4th. Anyway, we head to a backstage segment here. This was between Shinsuke and AJ and Sami Zayn. This was... I don't know how to explain this, man. I do like the character that they're building for Sami here. I think it gives him more character than they had been previously, where he was just kind of a good wrestler. Basically, Sami comes in and, they're talking about basically someone who always gets excited for big matches, and they're obviously referring to Sami Zayn. Then Sami Zayn comes in, and he asks them, what do you want to do tonight? He obviously wants to talk strategy for that six-man tag match that's going to happen later tonight. Sami Zayn goes on to think they're great, 3 of the best on earth. AJ kind of has this look on his face like, oh god, he's acting like a smart fan here. He goes over and he starts over-analyzing their strategy, and he starts getting super paranoid, talking about, who the opposing team is going to start in the match, and, oh, well, if Baron Corbin starts, maybe I should start, but if they start Kevin Owens, maybe AJ should start, and just kind of really over-analyzing and being super technical about it. They're basically really playing into this whole Sami Zayn is like basically a nerd or, smart mark sort of character. Really, him calling himself AJ and Shinsuke the best in the world really plays into that. It attests to them really playing up that nerdy character, or him being like a huge wrestling fan. Anyway, the segment ends with Sami walking off and Nakamura saying, after a long pause, I like him. The crowd actually laughs here, so nice job of booking Shinsuke in a segment well. They didn't have to give him a lot of lines here, and it showed him, gave him a little bit of character, give him a line that has people laugh and kind of, remember him a little bit. That's good. It's a lot better than having him go in the ring with a mouthpiece in and struggle over a long promo, so I like that a lot better. He did get extended time on Talking Smack, which I might mention later in the show. Normally we don't go over Talking Smack, but there was one particular thing that Shinsuke said that I might need to talk about a little bit later. Anyway, backstage we have Mojo Rawley. It's an interview. He's asked about his loss last week against Jinder, and he says he needs to thank Shane for giving him that opportunity. He says he came up short, but that's on him. He says Jinder is a different guy than he was when he beat him. Mojo has been beating himself up about the loss, basically. He's basically says that he can handle adversity, and he's going to use that loss to Jinder as a springboard to up his game in the future. Then, a hand appears on Mojo's shoulders, and it is Zack Ryder. Nice pop for Zack here. Obviously, he's finally cleared back from injury. He's been gone for a while. Zack Ryder basically goes on to say that he has nothing to be upset about, and he is back, and they have some unfinished business. They end the segment by saying hype bros, and saying, oh, the hype bros are back or whatever. Ryder being back is super awesome here. I wasn't sure if he was actually going to come back at all, to be honest, but really glad to see him back on TV. However, I'm not really that hype about the hype bros reunion. And the feeling that I got from this was that this isn't going to last long. I immediately felt like Zack is going to turn on Mojo or the other way around. And if it doesn't happen tonight, then it's probably going to happen soon. These guys did not have a match tonight, so we did not see Zack Ryder back in the ring. I'm not sure if he was in the dark match or what, but I have a feeling that Zack Ryder will turn on Mojo, and we are going to have a singles match between those two guys, building up to maybe SummerSlam. Who knows? Next match we get tonight, this was probably the worst match of the night and the slowest, you could say. We get Tamina versus Naomi, so we get that badass entrance from Naomi, as always. Love that entrance. Then we get Tamina, so we get to hear her GOAT theme of Tamina. Always so good. Just kidding. Anyway, but before the match starts, Lana's music hits. So here is where we get our Lana appearance for tonight. So obviously at this point, she comes out in her standard blue dress, so she is obviously not out there. She is not dressed to wrestle, which is disappointing. I thought we were going to get Lana's first, at least a warm-up match before she goes to, put herself on display at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So, but really, she just comes out here to watch from the outside. She's not on commentary or anything. She's just out there watching, which really doesn't make sense. So the match starts, and we get "We Want Rusev" chants, which is funny considering they usually always say "We Want Lana," but Lana is out here out there now, so they're kind of reversing the roles a little bit. Tamina starts off by headbutting Naomi, then throws her across the ring using her head. Tamina gets a face lock onto Naomi as this match starts extremely slow. Lots of just lockups on the mat, not really doing a whole lot. Not really a whole lot of moves out of either of these women tonight. Naomi finally gets some offense going with some impressive kicks like she always does, but this doesn't last very long. Tamina then delivers a strike to Naomi in the corner. She goes for a pin, but Naomi, of course, kicks out. Like I said, no actual moves out of Tamina, just kind of throwing Naomi around like a rag doll and just kicking and punching her, basically. Naomi finally gets on the offense again and kicks Tamina repeatedly, doing her signature kicks, which I love, man. She is very good at that, very athletic. She then jumps at Tamina and is caught mid-air. This was pretty cool. Obviously, Naomi's jumping at her, but Tamina uses her strength and just grabs her in the middle of the air, so that was kind of cool. Tamina then gives her a suplex. Then she heads to the top rope, but Naomi jumps up and kicks her in the face as she's heading up there. Naomi then throws her onto the mat. She sets up at the top and hits the split-legged moonsault onto Tamina, which is my favorite move out of Naomi. Love when she does it. 1, 2, 3, Naomi wins. So as Naomi's celebrating, she's getting her hand raised by the ref. This is when Lana, of course, comes into the ring and she attacks Naomi from behind. She grabs her. She delivers a nice-looking powerbomb onto Naomi in her dress, by the way. Then Lana grabs the belt and raises it above her head as Naomi lays lifeless in the ring. So, thoughts here. Obviously, we didn't get to see much out of Lana. We still haven't seen much out of Lana since she's, been in the ring a few times. I was sad that we only got to see one move out of her, and there's a couple ways you could look at this, man. I'm really starting to worry about this match at Money in the Bank. The fact that they didn't give her a match on TV, I think, speaks volumes. I feel like Creative might be a little worried about her in-ring performance since they kept her off TV. I do believe there's something that tells me she is going to look great on Sunday, just mainly because I think a lot of people aren't expecting much, and I think she's going to over-deliver those expectations. But it does worry me that she didn't get a match tonight, guys. I was really expecting her to at least get one warm-up match before we head into Money in the Bank, but she did not get that. Overall, this particular match between Tamina and Naomi was pretty boring. Like I said, this was probably the worst match on the show, even though I think the show overall was pretty decent. Naomi always looks good, but this match just wasn't really entertaining, I would say. The ending is what really salvaged it. Lana coming in and delivering that powerbomb to Naomi looked good, and I think the crowd got more excited to see that than they did the actual match. But, like I said, man, we will see what happens on Sunday when it comes to Lana and Naomi as far as that title match goes. If Lana gets the win and takes the belt, and she looks good doing it, man, this could flip the women's division on its head. This could turn everything around, and I think that would be pretty exciting, even though I don't think Lana is actually going to win that match. So anyway, we head to the face-to-face with Orton and Jinder. This did not recreate what we saw on Raw between Brock and Joe. Like I said, that's not happening, man. That's a real fight, and this is just a boring rematch. Jinder Mahal has the Singh brothers introduce him. He has those new Titantron graphics and kind of a retooled entrance. I really like it, man. It makes the belt look like $1 million, and he just looks like a badass heel coming out to this entrance. Jinder Mahal, of course, has the Singh brothers introduce him on the mic before he comes out. And this is where I started to think, he did just get this new graphic package. He's kind of got this new entrance going on. And the WWE usually doesn't give you a new badass entrance if you're going to lose the belt. So I'm really thinking that the reign of Jinder is going to last for quite a while. I don't think that he is losing this belt on Sunday for a whole slew of reasons, not even mentioning that it's St. Louis, which is Randy's hometown, which no one wins in their hometown. I just think that the WWE has kind of shown their cards a little bit when it comes to Jinder, and he will retain this title on Sunday. But we'll talk about that more in our Money in the Bank predictions at the end of this show. So we start off, we get the Jinder promo. We get boos before he even speaks into the microphone. He says to rise and show him respect as the new WWE champion. He tells the crowd to stand up repeatedly, obviously no one listening. He says he will prove that Orton is a coward. Jinder then informs us that Randy's dad, Bob Orton, will be in attendance in the front row with some other former WWE superstars at the match on Sunday. He then calls Randy Orton a scared garden snake and says he will cut down Randy Orton's legacy until there is nothing left of the Orton name. He then goes on to say that the Orton era is over, and it's now all about the Maharaja. We get really loud USA chants here, interrupting Jinder during his promo. He goes on to speak in Punjabi, but then he's interrupted by Orton. Orton's music hits, but there is no Randy Orton. Jinder then orders the Singh brothers out of the ring to kind of go defend Orton from coming down the ramp. Then guess what, guys? You all see where this is going. So Orton's not coming out. Where is he? Where is he? All of a sudden, bam, RKO out of nowhere. This was a really nice RKO, though. Randy had some serious speed on this, and he flew halfway across the ring easily. Then Orton, after hitting this huge RKO, starts getting the crowd hyped up. Then he runs back into the crowd and starts celebrating as Jinder is laid out on the carpet in the middle of the ring. Thoughts here. So this was the only build that we got for the WWE Championship on this show. This was a decent segment. Nothing really groundbreaking. I think this was just kind of a standard RKO out of nowhere segment. I'm going to say this, though, man. So originally when Jinder was about to get his huge push, he had a couple of really, really good promos on the mic, man. He sounded intense. He sounded vicious. He sounded fierce. He sounded really good on the mic. Since he's got the belt, though, I don't know what it is, but he's not doing what he did for me originally when he was about to get this push. He speaks too quiet on the mic, or it's almost like he's lost his voice, actually lost his voice, like he's been screaming too much and he can't yell anymore. It just feels a little passionless out of Jinder right now, and I really wish he would do his promos with more intensity, because that is what really got me into Jinder originally. I mean, after all, he is the WWE champion. You shouldn't come out by whispering into the microphone. You got to be more intense, man. You got to give us some more passion out of those promos, Jinder. Come on. That's what we really need out of him. If he's going to be this big badass foreign heel that everyone hates, you better bring the passion, man. You got to bring a little bit more than that. So that is my complaint with Jinder. I've been looking on Twitter, obviously at @ramble_cast. Follow us on Twitter there. Send us some messages about this. But I've been looking on Twitter, and some people share the same sentiment that I do as far as promos from Jinder. So I think that is something that I wish he would work on and really come back and bring that fierceness out of him for the next promo that he gets. Hopefully he can do that once he beats Randy at the pay-per-view. Or if he beats Randy, which I'm pretty sure he will. Anyway, we get a backstage segment here between Dolph, KO, and Baron. This is kind of similar to the AJ, Shinsuke, and Sami Zayn segment that we got earlier in the show. KO walks up to them, and he says that he doesn't like Baron, but he likes Dolph more than Baron, but that's not saying much. He goes on to say that we can work together tonight, take out Nakamura, take out Sami, take out AJ Styles. Then on Sunday, it will be just us three at Money in the Bank instead of 6. He goes on to say that they don't have to be best friends, but they shouldn't be their own worst enemies either. Thoughts here, nothing really to note here. It was just kind of a similar promo that the babyface guys got to do. It was a good promo from KO, even though the other guys really didn't say much. The commentators go on to say that, it's surprising that KO is trying to play peacekeeper here, which, in my opinion, I was thinking, well, that's not how this is going to end. KO is definitely going to turn on Dolph and Baron. So we'll find out what happens in the main event tonight. We get another backstage segment here. It's Randy being interviewed by Renee. Renee asks Orton what Jinder. She asks him about what Jinder said tonight, referring to the lines about ending his legacy and talking about his family and whatnot. Orton says that he just said everything that he needed to in that ring. He goes on to say that in his hometown of St. Louis, he will take back what's his, and that's the WWE Championship. Orton giving a really nice, intense, quick promo here, but, who is he kidding? He's not going to win in his hometown. And I think they're really showing their cards here because they're playing into that whole, this is about my legacy. My family's going to be here. I have to win in my hometown. Typically what they like to do when they build things up like that and get a lot of emotion, talking about family and stuff, what do? They always have the heel win, or they always have you lose in your hometown, in order to get more heat onto the heel, which in this case would be Jinder. So I really think they're showing their cards here with this match. If Randy does win, though, man, I will be extremely shocked, but I just don't see it happening. Anyway, we head on to the third match for tonight, and it is Natty versus Charlotte. Obviously, a classic matchup that we've gotten from NXT over the past couple of years. Natty comes to the ring looking super pissed off, and I love that, dude. One complaint that I usually have about Natalya is that when she comes to the ring, now keep in mind she is a heel. When she comes to the ring, though, she's usually smiling and waving at people. She just doesn't look like a heel. Fuck that. You need to come and be a fucking heel. You need to look vicious when you come to this ring. You need to look pissed off. And that's exactly what she did here. So props to Natty for kind of dropping the whole smiling thing and actually playing up into that heel role. The commentators go on to say that she is focused as she heads into Sunday for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Charlotte then comes to the ring looking like a badass peacock, wearing that entrance gear that she always does, reminiscent of her father. Tensions are very high in this match. Obviously, Charlotte put Natty through that table a few weeks ago, which led into the announcement of the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So this kind of made sense, right? Charlotte and Natty kind of have a little bit of a feud going on here, so they need to resolve this. So we're going to get a match. So we start off with some very impressive mat wrestling out of both of these women. Normally you would see this and you'd be like, okay, this is starting off really slow. But man, both of these girls are so good in the ring, man. Easily two of the best technical wrestlers out of the women's roster, especially on SmackDown. So when we see these two women in the ring, we're getting a good match. We get a kip up from Charlotte, which is always impressive. We get a lot of nice reversals here as they really struggle for control on the mat. Commentators are really pushing the fact that history is at stake on Sunday, and I completely agree. I think that match is going to be fantastic. I think there probably will be some botches in that match, but I think that botches sometimes actually help elevate a match to be even greater. Go take a look at Sasha versus Bayley in NXT, that legendary match that they had. There were a ton of botches in that one, and it still is one of my favorite matches of all time. So I think that some of the botches in this match could actually help elevate it even more. Anyway, we head to commercial, and we come back. Natty is in control. Natalya throws Charlotte into the turnbuckle, and they start trading shots in the middle of the ring. Natty gets a near fall onto Charlotte, and then Charlotte hits a knee onto Natty as she's lying on the ground. Charlotte delivers a nice suplex to Natty here, and then she steps on Natty as she walks over her. Total disrespect here. Shade has been thrown. Charlotte hits a nice moonsault, but Natty actually kicks out of the ensuing pin. She then heads back to the top post. I guess she is about to do another moonsault here and really finish off Natty, but Natty's able to get up, grab her, and she delivers a powerbomb to Charlotte. Super close, believable near fall here from Natty after the powerbomb. I really bought it for a second. I thought that she might actually win that quickly, but no, Charlotte did kick out. Natty then goes for the sharpshooter, but she just can't lock it in. Charlotte reverses it. Charlotte then hits a boot to Natty for a near fall, but then Natalya kicks out. I wrote down here, good match so far, man. Obviously, these two women are awesome in the ring, so they're always going to put on a nice, intense match for everyone. Natty then gets a quick roll-up onto Charlotte, but she kicks out. And then Charlotte turns and hits the natural selection onto Natty. 1, 2, 3, Charlotte wins. Kind of an abrupt ending here. I really didn't see that coming. I thought they would go for, a couple more minutes at least, but it kind of felt out of nowhere. So I didn't really like the finish to this match. It was pretty unclimactic. The fact that Charlotte wins here makes me feel like she actually won't win on Sunday, which I didn't think she was going to anyway. I don't think Charlotte is someone that needs the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think she'll end up getting the title on her own out of just a regular match. But just because she won here doesn't mean that she can't also win on Sunday. It's just usually WWE booking doesn't do it that way. Again, I really like this match, and they gave us a nice preview of what's to come on Sunday in that ladder match, but of course in that match we're going to have 4 other women and a shit ton of ladders, so things are going to be, the stakes are going to be a lot higher. I'm expecting to see some serious spots out of both Natty, Becky, and Charlotte in that ladder match, so for me personally, man, that is one of my most anticipated matches as we head into Sunday. I honestly can't wait for that one. Next up, we get another Fashion Files segment. So again, man, Fashion Files is a recurring thing that is happening on SmackDown. People do love these things, me included. I know they're a little hit or miss for some people. I do think that this one was probably the worst so far, but We'll see. This one was entitled Sweet Victory. We start off, it's obviously in that whole black and white noir fashion again. Fandango is looking into a mirror. He's admiring his pecs. Then he asks himself where Breeze is. He goes off and he finds him attacked on the floor in the Fashion Files office. Breeze says that his attackers had greasy hair, dry skin, and one arm. No, wait, 2 arms. Fandango, meanwhile, is writing and drawing on a notepad, kind of drawing out the description that Breeze is giving him. Then he drops it on the floor as they leave, and the camera pans into the drawing, and it's 2 stick figures. Also in the background, if you look closely here, on their little bulletin board that they have, there's a picture of Sami Zayn, and underneath it says generic written underneath it. Obviously referring to his indie run as El Generico. So I really love that. Cool hint there. I love the small things that they do in the background of these Fashion Files shots. However, like I said though, I think this Fashion Files was probably the least funny for me. It was pretty short. I think they were trying to build up for that next match that the Fashion Files or the Fashion Police, Breezango, whatever their name is at this point, I really think they were trying to lead us into who their next opponent is going to be. But based off those clues, greasy hair, dry skin, we don't really know. I mean, if you think about it, is it the Ascension? I don't think so. Only one of those guys have hair. The only people that I think it could be would be the Usos, right? They probably have the greasiest hair out of everyone on the roster. But obviously the Usos are kind of in a feud with the New Day right now, so not really sure. I don't think we're going to get any answers to this. Obviously the Fashion Files or Breezango is going to face the Clones, I believe, on the pre-show heading into Money in the Bank, so we're not going to get any answers there either. I think this is probably something that they will answer on the next SmackDown that we get after Money in the Bank. So we will see. Again, like I said, this is probably the weakest Fashion Files, and I really hope that they aren't losing their creative flow or something. I want the Fashion Files to continue for as long as possible, and I want to get these guys on TV as much as we can. So keep it up. I hope they can find their creative flow again. Now we get a Lana backstage segment. She is being interviewed and being asked about the attack on Naomi. She says that this Sunday she will shock the world when she crushes Naomi and becomes the first ever ravishing champion. Obviously we get boos here, so people not really feeling Lana, I guess. She is kind of the heel in this. Obviously Naomi is not. Me personally, I'm going to be rooting for Lana, even though I love Naomi. I really want to see what Lana can do in that ring, and that is also one of my most anticipated matches as we head into Sunday. All right, well, now we get to our main event, man, and it's that 6-man tag team match between Dolph, KO, Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and Sami Zayn. AJ and Shinsuke get huge reactions from this crowd tonight as they come out. If I had to guess here, I'd say AJ probably got the bigger pop, but it was pretty close between him and Shinsuke. I mean, after all, they are the 2 best in the world right now, in my opinion, so I think it's important for us to kind of look and see which guy is getting more over, but tonight, man, it was really close. It's hard to say. The match starts, and we get Nakamura and Ziggler in the ring. Shinsuke hits Ziggler with a series of knee strikes. Then he puts Dolph into the corner for the good vibrations. Dolph then hits him with a huge uppercut, and then into a drop kick. Ziggler tags in KO at this point. KO then starts kicking down Shinsuke. Then he tags Corbin in, and then he starts attacking Nakamura in the corner. So basically, Nakamura is in the corner of the opposing team, and they're just consistently tagging each other in and out, beating down Nakamura. Corbin then tags in Ziggler. He starts doing the same thing. Ziggler then gets Shinsuke into a facelock on the mat. The crowd's really trying to get the momentum in favor of Nakamura at this point, doing the claps and cheering Nakamura. Shinsuke is able to tag in AJ at this point, who just immediately goes the fuck off on Dolph and everyone else. He hits an elbow to Dolph. He gives him a pump handle gut buster that looks fucking great. He then puts Dolph onto his shoulders for a fireman's carry neck breaker. Then KO gets into the ring, but Sami is able to interrupt and throws KO to the outside. Then Sami flips over the top rope and falls down onto KO. Nice spot there. We get a bunch of Olay chants for Sami here. He was also super over in this match. Styles then grabs Ziggler. He teases the Styles clash here, but Dolph is able to counter into a DDT. This looked pretty awesome here. Very cool reversal. I love when Ziggler and AJ get to match up together because both of those guys are so good in the ring, and they always do something very technical and very awesome. So really cool when we get to see those two. We eventually get Baron and Sammy, and then Baron hits a huge deep six onto Sammy as we head to commercial break. This is the fastest deep six I've ever seen. Usually he does it kind of slow. This one was quick. He spun him around really fast and just hit him with the deep six. That looked awesome. So thoughts so far on this match, I noted down here, the match is starting off really hot, as I figured. Obviously, these guys have a huge match as we head into Sunday, so they're looking to carry this momentum into that pay-per-view match. AJ obviously looking really good. Same with Baron and Sammy. KO and Dolph and Corbin are really playing into what KO said earlier in the show about trying to work together. Obviously, we saw that with them, putting Nakamura into the corner and tagging each other in and getting the beatdown onto Shinsuke. Then we come back from break. We have huge Sami Zayn chants at this point. This New Orleans crowd was really feeling Sami tonight. Ziggler is taking it to Sami Zayn at this point. He tags in KO, who delivers a bunch of stomps to Sami's stomach. KO then goes for a senton bomb onto Sami, but Sami is able to get his legs up and counter it. Sami goes for the tag, but KO grabs his leg and hits Sami with a DDT for a near fall. KO then tags in Corbin. Corbin drives Sami into the post and starts beating him down, obviously trying to stop him from getting that tag to one of his partners. Sami is eventually able to fight back. He nearly gets the tag, but Baron, of course, tackles Sami and drags him away before he can get that tag. Corbin then tags in KO again, and then eventually Sami hits KO with the Blue Thunder Bomb, and this is where things start to turn in favor for Sami Zayn. Zayn nearly gets the tag, but Corbin stops him again. Baron looking super intense tonight. This almost looked like a man that maybe knows he's about to get that Money in the Bank briefcase on Sunday, but we'll see. Sami hits a huge clothesline to Baron. This was loud as fuck. This was a huge hit to Baron. Then Sami dodges Ziggler, who's trying to stop the inevitable tag. KO then tries to stop it, but he dodges him too. However, Corbin grabs him from behind. Sami nearly gets the tag this time, but now Ziggler pulls both Nakamura and AJ off the apron. So it wasn't that they stopped Sami this time. Instead, they pulled Nakamura and AJ off the apron, preventing the tag. Then we have Baron in the ring with Sami. Baron is in the post looking down at Shinsuke and AJ, who just fell off of the ring apron. Sami is in the corner, revving up for the haluva kick. Boom, he hits it. 1, 2, 3. Sami gets the pin, and he wins. So, overall, Sami, AJ, and Shinsuke did win the match, but after the match, this is when things break down. Dolph goes to attack AJ. KO then grabs a ladder from the ramp and brings it into the ring. The heel team is obviously working together here, as they alluded to earlier with that KO segment in the show. Dolph and KO then grab the ladder. They use it together, and they hit Sami with it. Then they turn around and hit AJ with it, so both of those guys are out. Then the camera guy fucks up here because they cut to the briefcase above the ring, and we miss the big attack here that essentially happens. Baron takes out both Nakamura and he takes out Ziggler and KO here. So obviously Baron isn't deciding to work with anybody here. No alliance for Corbin. He's in it for himself. He is the lone wolf after all. He then sets up the ladder in the middle of the ring. So you have all these guys, sprawled out all over the ring from the ladder shots and just getting attacked in general. Corbin sets up the ladder in the middle of the ring. He starts to head towards the top to get the briefcase and kind of show that, yeah, guys, I'm going to win that briefcase on Sunday. But Shinsuke comes out of nowhere and pushes the ladder down. Baron goes tumbling to the outside. Shinsuke revs up for the Kinshasa and then hits Baron Corbin with it. Then Nakamura sets up the ladder in the middle of the ring. We get huge Nakamura chants here. He heads all the way to the top of the ladder and grabs the briefcase. And we end the show with a very cool visual of Shinsuke Nakamura standing above everyone on the ladder holding that blue briefcase. Very surreal to see that, but very cool as well. Obviously Nakamura being on the main roster is surreal in itself. Hell, him being in the WWE is pretty unbelievable. But, seeing him holding that Money in the Bank briefcase, man, it gave me chills. I was thinking, man, what if Shinsuke actually does win this thing on Sunday? That would be huge for him. Was this foreshadowing? Will we actually see that on Sunday, though? I don't know, man. I feel like they were giving us this visual because he's not going to win that thing on Sunday, so they gave this to us as a kind of way to say, like, oh, well, you at least get to see this, but he's not getting the briefcase. So I don't know, but we did end the show with Nakamura looking dominant, which is always good, and that is something that Nakamura needs right now. He does need to look dominant. I question the booking of Nakamura lately, but I think he has looked pretty good so far as this main roster debut goes. So I don't think he's going to win on Sunday, but let's talk about that here in a second when we go into our Money in the Bank predictions. Overall thoughts on tonight's show, though. I thought this was a good show tonight. You know, it being a go-home show, they really had to get us hyped up for the matches that are on the card. They weren't going to start any new storylines. They weren't going to push any, guys that we haven't seen in a while. So, obviously, we did not get Rusev. We did not get American Alpha. And we did not get Ty Dillinger. We did get Zack Ryder, though, which it was very short. And, obviously, that is kind of pushing a new storyline here between Mojo and him, I believe. But not seeing those other three guys is a little worrisome. I do think that we're going to get them on the SmackDown after Money in the Bank, but if we do not get those guys on that show, that is when we need to hit the panic button, and we need to start worrying about the future of Ty Dillinger on the main roster. But yeah, I think they did a amicable job of building the matches on Sunday, which is what the Go Home show is obviously all about. They gave us some nice women's singles matches tonight, which they haven't really been doing. Normally, they usually just throw all the women into one match and say, well, you were all on the show. There you go. But now we actually got two women's matches, two singles women's matches. Even though I think the Naomi and Tamina match was probably the low light of the show, the Lana move at the end really saved it and made it better than it originally was, because the match itself was actually pretty bad. Lana kind of got the hype going and kind of saved it overall. I do wish that Lana could have had an actual match tonight. I said earlier, man, I'm a little worried that they're keeping her off TV and saving it for this pay-per-view. Obviously, that gets me more excited because I have something to look forward to. You know, I really want to see what she's going to do in the ring, and the only way I'm going to see that is if I watch the pay-per-view on Sunday. So that is something that's keeping me entertained and getting me more interested in that match overall. I do believe that Lana is going to look good in the ring. I think she can make a huge impression on Sunday, but them not giving her a match on TV does make me question what's going to happen, and especially in her debut singles match. You know, having your debut match on a pay-per-view is a big deal. Obviously, her first in-ring debut was on WrestleMania, which you can't get bigger than that, but that was the pre-show, and it was with, I think, like 6 other women, so it wasn't really, I'm not going to count that as her debut, but I'm still excited to see Lana, man. That's a match that I'm really looking forward to. There are a bunch of matches on this card that I'm looking forward to, actually. Well, maybe not a bunch, maybe like half of them I am looking forward to, but we'll talk more about that in the predictions at the end of this episode. The Charlotte Natty match tonight was good, despite the ending being a little lackluster for me. These girls definitely did a good job of setting up the match that we're going to get on Sunday, so I'm obviously extremely excited for that one. That's at the top of my interest list as we head into Sunday. SmackDown Live answered most of my questions that we had leading into tonight's podcast, though. The question still remains, where is American Alpha? Where's Rusev? Where the fuck is Ty Dillinger? All that. But, putting them on a go-home show leading into a pay-per-view probably isn't the best idea anyway, so I understand why. But like I said, man, got to get those guys on TV ASAP. They have to get those characters in the mix, because I really feel like after this pay-per-view, we've kind of run out of gas on our current feuds. So having some new blood in there to mix things up is really going to help SmackDown. Speaking of Zack Ryder, I thought it was really cool seeing him back on TV. I'm not really thrilled about a Hype Brothers reunion, but even though I think the Hype Bros would add some much-needed depth to this tag team roster on SmackDown, which is severely lacking at this point. But the vibe that I got from the segment that they did tonight between Zack and Mojo was that Zack is going to turn on Mojo at some point. I don't think they're going to drop this whole Mojo singles push just because Zack Ryder is back. I think that they're going to put them together for a little bit, break them up, and then we'll have a singles feud between both of those guys. The main event tonight was actually really good. I liked how they did some of the spots and, kind of hinting at that alliance earlier in the show that actually played out in the match. So nice continuity there. I usually call them out for shitty continuity, so if they do something right, I'm obviously going to give them praise for that. Really cool image of Shinsuke holding that briefcase to end the show. That was a really powerful message to everyone watching on TV, really emphasizing the fact that Nakamura is a legit threat and a real contender. even though, maybe some of his matches previously really haven't got that message over to the TV crowd. Will he actually win it, though? I don't think so, but let's talk about that now. Let's head into the Money in the Bank predictions. So let's start off with the pre-show, and we'll head up towards the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. So I believe the pre-show match that we're going to get will be, it'll be between the Colognes and Breezango. I don't think that is going to be a very great match. I think it's probably going to be more of a comedy thing. We'll probably see the squirt guns and, the costume changes from Fashion Files. I'm expecting the Fashion Police or Breezango to win this match. I mean, it is a pre-show match. It's probably not a big deal. The next match that I want to talk about, though, is the Women's Championship match between Naomi and Lana. Lana obviously getting her debut match here on a pay-per-view. That is very important, and we've talked about this in the show already, so I don't need to go too in-depth about it. I do think that Naomi will win, but I am super excited to see Lana in the ring. I personally believe that she is very athletic and she is going to put on a show for everyone. I think she is actually going to surprise a lot of people, and this is something that will be a talking point on any podcast you listen to going forward. If she does not look good, though, that is going to be where things aren't good for anybody, essentially. So, very excited to see what Lana does. I think Naomi is a good match for her. Naomi is obviously very talented in the ring, so she can do a lot of the offense here. But I think Lana is going to have a good showing, man, and I hope she does. I'm excited to see her get mixed into the women's division on SmackDown. I think she is some much-needed new blood, and I'm excited to see what she does, man. So, hope she has her shit together. Then we head into the tag team match. We're going to get the Usos, obviously the champions, versus the New Day. They made their debut on June 1st, and New Day has been granted their title match, which makes sense because they are the longest reigning world tag team champs. I have loved the Usos promos so far since they become heel. They're just their badass demeanor that they have and, really acting like they're going to kick some ass. I really love that. Obviously, I love the New Day as well. They really feel fresh right now on SmackDown. Tonight's match was really good, adding in that up, down, down finisher that I really liked. They're kind of revamping their offense now that they're on SmackDown, which is really cool. Having said all that now, I believe the Usos do need to win this match. They need to get some more time with those belts, really let them cook, let them play up their badass heel roles here. And I think if they crush the New Day, it would be a nice notch on their belt, and I think it would give them more legitimacy as that badass tag team champion heel type of team. I think that is going to be something that is very, they're going to be able to boast about beating the New Day once they do it. So I think this match is kind of underrated on this card as of now, but these two teams may have one of the best matches of the night on Sunday. Now we head into the WWE Championship match, which is one of my least excited matches for this show, unfortunately. Obviously, Jinder Mahal, the champion, is going against Randy Orton, who is exercising his rematch clause. He will attempt to capture his a World Heavyweight title for the 14th time in his career. Mahal is obviously making his first title defense since getting it from Randy Orton. Now, I don't think that this match is Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. This is Randy Orton versus his hometown, and that's all you need to know. They have the rocket attached to Jinder right now. He isn't going to lose the title to Randy, guys. You don't give him a new entrance. You don't give him new music. You don't give him this huge emphasis if you're just going to give it back to Randy Orton. I like what they did on SmackDown Live tonight. The RKO out of nowhere was really nice. It was really, it was impactful. But the way they're building this up, the whole, it's my hometown, my family's legacy, my dad's going to be there. It just reeks of, I'm losing in my hometown to get heat on Jinder. That's what I sort of feel coming out of this match. So I do think Jinder will retain, and I think he should retain. I think after this match, they should take Randy off TV for a little bit, let him cool off, and then bring him back maybe as a heel. Because like I've said before on previous SmackDown Live reviews and just various shows, babyface Randy Orton isn't doing much for me. I prefer him as a heel, and I hope when he does come back that he is heel Orton once again. Alright, so let's head into the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Obviously, we have Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina. This is the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match in history, and I think it should be a thriller. if the build has been any indication here. The winner obviously is going to be the first to climb the ladder and retrieve the briefcase, and they will get that guaranteed title match that they can cash in at any time. I think this match is going to be really great on Sunday. I think the women are going to try and outdo the men's ladder match, which is going to be hard considering you have AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke Nakamura all packed into that match. That is not going to be easy to outdo. But I know that Charlotte, Becky, Naomi, and all the rest of the girls are going to try and one-up the boys. So we are probably going to get some crazy fucking spots out of this match. I expect big ones out of Becky. I expect some out of Natalya. And I am expecting a moonsault off the top of the ladder from Charlotte. I think that is a guaranteed spot that we are going to get. Now, who do I think is going to take the women's Money in the Bank briefcase? I've gone back and forth on this, man. It's really hard for me to pick someone. I think, man, there's one thing that they've been teasing on commentary each time they bring up this match, and that is Carmella and James Ellsworth being despicable, and if they got the briefcase, it would be the worst thing ever. That's kind of what JBL keeps constantly saying. I think they're doing that purposefully. I think they want us to think about James Ellsworth and Carmella having that briefcase, and my prediction for this match is going to be that Carmella wins. I think that, I think having stupid James Ellsworth kind of be the briefcase holder and coming out and constantly teasing it, I can just visually see that happening in my head. I don't know that it's the best match. I don't think it's the best pairing. I think Carmella is kind of shitty right now. I think the briefcase might help her, might help put her over, which, the briefcase can actually do that for someone. It can really help elevate someone's game. But the fact that JBL keeps mentioning, can you imagine Ellsworth with the briefcase? That would be awful. I think they're subtly hinting at what may come of Sunday. So I am going to stick with Carmella here, even though I think it's a super outside shot. They could potentially go with Natty here. I think her losing tonight was kind of an indication of what might to come on Sunday as well. But I think my prediction officially is going to be Carmella, even though it's an outside shot. And then finally, man, let's head into the final match of Money in the Bank, which is going to be the ladder match between all six men, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, and of course, Baron Corbin. Obviously, the United States title is not being defended on this show because Kevin Owens is in this match. And I immediately want to say Kevin Owens is not winning. He already has a belt. He doesn't need the briefcase. I think he is someone that we can immediately eliminate from this list. Now, obviously what they did with Shinsuke tonight, having him, leaving SmackDown Live with the visual of Shinsuke Nakamura holding that briefcase, I don't know if that was foreshadowing or if they were just giving us that visual because we're not going to get that on Sunday. I don't think Shinsuke's winning this. I don't think he needs to win it. What I think is going to happen is Shinsuke and Kevin Owens are going to end up facing for the United States title down the line. I don't think Shinsuke is getting the briefcase. So that technically leaves us with AJ, Dolph, Sami, and Baron Corbin. AJ Styles, don't get me wrong, man. I would love to see AJ Styles with that briefcase because obviously that guarantees him a title shot, which I think AJ Styles should get the WWE Championship back at some point this year. I don't know if he needs to do it with the briefcase necessarily, but him having the briefcase would look pretty badass. Then you look at Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler is a guy that has won it in the past. He's cashed it in and become champion in the past. There is one thing that I'm going to talk about here. Shinsuke Nakamura on Talking Smack. Obviously, Shinsuke's English isn't very good, but I was able to watch this, and I thought he did a pretty good job on Talking Smack, considering it's more of a improv sort of situation, and he doesn't have lines to read from a script, so he's not preparing for these questions. He's just kind of going out there and winging it, and for someone that has English as a second language, I thought he did pretty good. However, there was one thing that Shinsuke said on Talking Smack that was very, very interesting. He talks about Dolph Ziggler going to Japan, which I don't know if he was actually letting the cat out of the bag there. Renee goes on to say, whoa, that's a scoop. So I don't know if Dolph Ziggler's, contract is running up soon, and he's already talked to Shinsuke about going to Japan, and Shinsuke accidentally leaked that. I don't know, man, but it was very interesting to hear him say that. Despite all of that, though, I don't think Dolph Ziggler is winning this match. I just don't think that's going to happen. We've seen it too many times in the past, and I don't think Dolph Ziggler needs it. And if he's actually going to go to Japan, which, by the way, would actually be pretty badass. If you look at how Cody Rhodes and all those other guys, they left the WWE and they've really elevated themselves on the indie scene and in Japan, I think Dolph Ziggler could benefit greatly from that. So I don't think he's winning here, and that's what I think. So that leaves us with Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, or AJ. I'm going to say AJ doesn't win this, so it leaves us with Sami Zayn and Baron Corbin. I do think the end of this match will end with both of those guys fighting for that briefcase in the end. We will have Sami at the top of the ladder. We will have Baron at the top of the ladder. Both of them exchanging shots, headbutts, what have you. And I think that, man, it's hard for me to say because I would love to see Sami Zayn get this briefcase, man. He has been the stepping stone for a lot of guys. A lot of times they will put someone against Sami and he will have a really great match with him, but Sami just can't get over the hump and he always loses. And then that person usually goes on to get a title shot or something like that. So they kind of use Sami Zayn as a way to elevate other guys. So I think he really does deserve a shot at a title for once. I think, it would be cool for him to have the briefcase, but my original prediction, starting back on our very first episode of SmackDown review that we did for the Royal Ramble podcast, I think I said Baron Corbin is going to win this briefcase, and I'm not going to change that mentality. I think Baron Corbin will take this. I think that they are consistently keeping him on TV to keep him in our minds as viewers for a very particular reason. Tonight, obviously, when he headed to the top of the ladder and Shinsuke pushed him off, I think that was a little bit foreshadowing as well. Obviously, Baron didn't end up with the briefcase tonight, so we didn't get that imagery, but I think that was a little tease of what might be to come, and I think Baron Corbin will be your 2017 Men's Money in the Bank ladder match winner. So I think Baron Corbin is going to have that briefcase when we head into next Tuesday. I do like it when it's on a heel. Obviously, Baron Corbin is a heel, and I think Baron Corbin has done a pretty good job so far on the main roster. I think this would help elevate him a little bit more, which is something that he needs, and he's looked like a legit badass. I mean, all of his moves that he does in the ring, they look like finishers, right? The deep six and all the other moves that he does are really devastating. So I think him having that Money in the Bank briefcase, teasing those cash-ins, and coming out and hitting a deep six on someone and getting the title, man, that would be a big deal. So I think Baron Corbin will take this match on Sunday, but if Sami Zayn got it, I'd be just as happy. So that is my predictions, man. This overall was a pretty good show for SmackDown. Nice go-home show. I still think they have some questions to answer going forward, especially with those guys that were not on the show tonight and have not been on the show for a while. So that is the show, guys. Really appreciate everyone that's been able to sub to our YouTube page. Definitely growing over there. So thank you so much to everyone that's done that. Also to all of our Twitter followers out there, getting a lot of good conversation on Twitter from fans, so that is always good. Make sure you follow us over there at @ramble_cast. Of course, if you can, please subscribe to our YouTube page. That's where you're going to find the highest quality audio that we have to offer. We're also on Podbean. Check us out over there, royalrambleradio.podbean.com. You can always download the Podbean app and find us wherever you go and listen to us on the go. SoundCloud as well, soundcloud.com/royal-ramble-radio. And if you have any questions and you want those questions read on the air, go ahead and send us an email at royalrambleradio@gmail.com. So again, I'm your host, Zach Stevens. We will talk to you on Monday as we do our Money in the Bank review, so be on the lookout for that. And we head into Raw and SmackDown after that. So lots of stuff coming for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Zach Stevens, and I am out.